join the dark side. That's painful. Oh, that hurt. Hello everybody, my name is Laurel J. Marie and this is The Fub. So it has been a while. It's been 2 weeks and I'm sorry. Okay, so if we're gonna talk about things with Star Wars, that's why I got the wine. Yeah. Last Monday I saw Star Wars and then on Tuesday I talked about Star Wars. So what was discussed that I kind of was blown away by because I didn't realize this was a thing was that Rey is a Mary Sue character. For those of you who don't know, Mary Sue characters are characters who the author connects with way too much to the point where they're overpowered, they're very flat characters, and they just don't really develop. So a great example of a Mary Sue character would be Superman. But also on the other end of the spectrum of Mary Sue's, a lot of people would maybe consider Bella a Mary Sue character. Not in that she was overpowered necessarily, so much as she was flat. And I mean, as a character, she was devoid of any sort of like defining characteristics. When I heard that they felt that Rey was a Mary Sue character, I was so confused because those two characters popped up in my mind, and when I think Rey, I don't think Bella or Superman, but apparently people do. They feel like she's overpowered from what I understand. And you know what? In the Force, yes, she's very overpowered in the Force, but we also don't really know the Force very well. But like, that's really it, because everything else made sense to me, and she had reasons for being smart in certain areas, and it didn't seem like she was overpowered, and it definitely didn't seem like she was lacking in any character detail. But something that was brought up during the conversation was the people that I was discussing this with wanted lines kind of addressing some of her knowledge or her ability. And the great thing about movies is that context clues are in more than just the dialogue. They are in the scenes themselves. For example, something that a lot of people seem to have an issue with is the fact that Rey could fly the Millennium Falcon. Now I have two things, and the first thing I'm going to pull from my experience with the movie. First of all, an argument has been placed that because she said that the Millennium Falcon was a piece of junk, she couldn't have known what it was or how to fly it. But right now, I'm gonna stay with this scene that we're talking about in particular, where her and Finn are running away from the stormtroopers and have to pick between giant, shiny, cool spaceship and the Millennium Falcon, which is partially covered and does, in fact, look very run down. So the fact that she calls it a piece of junk isn't uncalled for at all. The next thing that from the second part of that scene is her flying the ship. A lot of you are like, well, she drove it perfectly. No, she didn't. She had issues. She had trouble at the beginning when she started flying this thing, and you could tell she was having trouble and she was struggling. She was even sweating through part of it. But she knew the area extremely well. She knew the ship, if not perfectly, but she knew it. She was familiar enough with it. And what's great is that she shows this kind of knowledge not just for the Millennium Falcon, but for the majority of the ships that she comes across. She has some sort of knowledge of their parts and doodads and what they do. So it's a constant thing. It's not just magical knowledge about the Millennium Falcon. So it's a character trait, and this isn't just a character trait that comes out of nowhere. It's not something that just randomly pops up like, oh, why is she suddenly so knowledgeable about ships? She lives in a place where she has to go through wreckage of ships and different technologies to survive. So I don't know how that part makes her Mary Sue. Her being able to not only fly the Millennium Falcon, but fly it relatively well and know about all these different bits and doodads on different ships isn't something that came out of the blue. It's something that has an established ground, and I do not feel like she needed to have a line saying, well, I did this for a long period of time. So, that's my first quarrel, and that's movie-based. Now I'm gonna go to my second source, which is canon, and it's called Before the Awakening. It's about their stories before The Force Awakens starts. It's been explained how she knows how to fly. You ready for this? Out and about, and she noticed a sandstorm off in the distance, and it was a big one, and she knew she had to get back home very quick. So she grabbed what she could, and she went home. And she was sanded in for a while. During that time period, we find out that she's got a program that she found in one of the wreckages that kind of works. It's one of those like, oh, there are a couple scratches on the disc, but they still work kind of things. And this program is a flight simulator. It's something that she plays every time she's sanded in. So she's had it for years, and she's literally played it for days on end sometimes. And she's beaten it. So she's familiar with different kinds of ships and how to fly them in theoretical cases. Really quick also, the fact that she could fight seemed to get on some people's nerves as well, and I don't understand why that got on your nerves when very obviously she was a scavenger among other scavengers who all had one goal, and she obviously had a good eye for parts that could get her a relatively large amount of rations. She probably had to fight people off for more than just BB-8. She's experienced that before and it was obvious. Plus she's force sensitive. So it's very possible she's got a little extra oomph to her fighting skills, and definitely a little extra oomph to her engineering skills because she's force sensitive. And where else have we seen these things? With Luke Skywalker and with fucking Anakin. Amazing things you learn when you read. But you know what? This is my opinion, and if you don't like it, okay. I'm not gonna hate you for it, and I'd appreciate it if you didn't hate me for mine. But it will not change the fact that I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I loved Rey's character, and I don't think she's a Mary Sue. I'm going to expect more character development in the next movie. But I'm also very content with the fact that they try to release literature to help fill in some of the blanks. What makes a good anything is the fact that people walk away from it talking to each other about it. Are you not talking about Star Wars? Are you not arguing passionately with other people about its characters and its plot? If you aren't, fine. If you are, then obviously you were interested enough to waste your time talking to random people on the internet about what you thought of it. The movie did its job. It reintroduced an iconic series and made people interested in it again. Not only that, but they made intriguing characters that I want to know more about, and from what I understand, what a lot more people want to know more about. The writers did their job. You're talking about it. You want to know more about these characters. You got attached to them in some way, shape, or form. And if you're like, no, I'm just mad because she's a Mary Sue. Okay, well, fine. But honestly, from my education and from my experience with the movie, I will respectfully disagree with you on the fact that I don't think she is a Mary Sue character. Whatever. I just wanted to say thank you guys for watching. Thank you for joining me for another week. Thank you for joining me on this journey that has actually been just incredible so far, and it's just been a lot of fun, and I'm excited to see you next week for Lit Bits on Monday. It's going to be Homer with The Odyssey. That is going to be split up into 2 episodes because The Odyssey is very, very long. Once again, I loved the Star Wars movie. I'm really excited for the next one, and I hope you guys are too. And once again, tell me your opinion. I would love to hear it, whether it's good or bad, whether it agrees with mine or not. I'm going to read it. I will see you guys next week.